About a year ago, I was grinding through my licensing exam, studying nonstop for about 30 days, covering economic concepts and financial reporting and 100 other things. And the whole time I had this assumption, this thing I just knew was true, but wasn't. It was an assumption. And that was that when all these YouTubers and TikTok creators were saying, "This is not financial advice," as a disclaimer, I thought they were saying that because they could not give financial advice because they were not licensed. I actually thought that by getting my own license and becoming a professional, I could make a video online and say, "Hey internet, I've got some financial advice for you." But I was so wrong. I'm making this video to explain what this disclaimer really is, why it's kind of a failure, and what people should do instead. Hi, I'm Cam, licensed financial advisor, which basically means I studied hard for 30 days till my eyes bled. And now I get to have compliance anxiety about my YouTube channel, which is a good trade. And when I'm talking about finance in a public setting, whether that's the grocery store or on the internet, I cannot give financial advice. And I don't just slap a "this is not financial advice" disclaimer on my videos to protect myself. Because as you're about to see, the disclaimer is actually a massive myth, especially for someone like me who has a license they could lose. So what is the "this is not financial advice" disclaimer? And why do people say it at all? Well, the disclaimer is kind of a fail and a misunderstanding. It's meant to be a legal shield people use to try and ensure the information that they're giving related to specific funds or specific strategies is taken as education rather than advice specific to you. But this shield doesn't really shield someone at all. It all comes down to the substance of what they are actually saying and the setting you're in when you're saying it. So how strong is the "not financial advice" disclaimer? Really, this disclaimer isn't as strong as you might think. The SEC looks at substance over form. If I spend 10 minutes telling you exactly why a specific fund will make you rich, but then at the end of that I spend 2 seconds saying "not financial advice," the SEC doesn't care about the disclaimer. The substance of the video was advice. Under the SEC marketing rule, I am legally required to be fair and balanced. So if I make a post that says "Google," rocket ship emoji, that emoji is officially recognized as an upside. A federal judge ruled in 2023 that certain emojis mean one thing: a financial return on investment. So to be compliant, I can't just use a legal shield disclaimer. The substance of my message has to be balanced. I would need to clearly state that Google is a single stock with concentrated risk and that past performance doesn't guarantee future returns, and that you could lose your principal. If I talk about the upside, I have to talk about the downside every single time. If you're not a professional, you're some unlicensed finfluencer, you can give what the SEC calls impersonal advice. This would be a paid blog listing the top 10 undervalued tech stocks to buy right now, or a video breaking down 2 ETFs, showing all the stats of each and concluding that one is better. Or it could be a tweet that shares what you're doing in your own portfolio. As long as the information is broad enough and public, the SEC generally views this as free speech rather than a regulated financial service. This is why you can find thousands of people on Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok talking about specific stocks that you've just got to buy. But now on the flip side, there's what the finfluencer cannot do, which is personalized advice. The moment a creator steps out of a broad broadcast and replies to a comment saying, "Based on your salary and debt, you should liquidate your 401k and buy Bitcoin," they've crossed a line. They are now acting as an unregistered investment advisor. They also can't commit fraud, manipulate markets with pump and dump schemes, or take secret compensation from a crypto founder to promote a token without disclosing the amount that they were paid and the fact that they had an agreement. Shout out to Kim Kardashian. Now, there's actually a way to be viewed as an investment advisor even if you've never taken a legal test to get licensed. And this is really good to be aware of, and I mentioned it a second ago, but its name is the 3-pronged test. Number 1, you provide advice, whether that's personalized or impersonal. Number 2, you do so as part of a regular business. 3, you receive compensation, which includes AdSense for making videos on YouTube. So even if a YouTuber is thinking to themselves, "I'm not a financial advisor," but they hit on all 3 of those criteria, they are an investment advisor. That's it. Except they aren't registered. And so that's unlawful. But you might be thinking, obviously, like, wait, people do that. Finfluencers on YouTube are making ad revenue and hitting all three of those prongs, right? Yes, but they're saved by the publisher's exclusion. Thanks to a 1985 Supreme Court case, if you were acting like a modern day financial magazine, giving impersonal advice to a general audience on a regular basis, you are excluded from being regulated as an advisor. So this is how all of the people that I follow, so many of the popular people online do it. So there's the typical three-prong test, and then there's the exclusion that would overrule it. But then there's actual licensed advisors. The exclusion doesn't apply to me. I am under the strict regulation of the SEC. What does that mean? Well, I can make financial content. And a simple way to think of my limitations as an advisor online is by thinking of a doctor. They can make a video explaining how antibiotics work, but if that doctor points at a camera and says, this specific antibiotic is the best one for your infection, so go take it, and then you take it without the doctor knowing your charts or your allergies, they could seriously hurt you through making that video. That is practicing medicine without a doctor-patient relationship. Similarly, if I tell people online specific funds you should buy or specific advice you should take, that's practicing without an advisor-client relationship, and I could lose my license. But what I can do is show you how things work and why they work that way, and I can share the sources and documentation behind my stated opinions. Probably the biggest difference between me and a finfluencer is that every video of mine, due to the SEC's marketing rule, is legally classified as an advertisement. And since, in the eyes of the SEC, I'm promoting my business probably all the time on this channel, I have to deliver my information in a fair and balanced way. So anytime I mention a positive, I must also mention a negative. Our firm must keep a record of all the videos that I post for 5 years. And then the comments section, if I were to delete a comment or respond selectively to comments, this can be viewed as curation, like I'm adopting the statements that other people were commenting as if they were my own statements. Because of all of that, the comment section is something I would try to be careful about how I engage with. And I don't know that other finfluencers would have to think as carefully about that. For many creators online, the disclaimer, this is not financial advice, seems to be a cultural habit. In fact, I'll probably say it once or twice just to cover my own butt in extra thick regulation-protected underwear. But for me, and for the SEC, it's so much more about substance. With or without the disclaimer, I need to do what I can to be clear in my language. All right, that's it for this week. Subscribe, and I'll see you next Friday.